Before we begin, please note that this story is a celebration of cultural knowledge and oral traditions. It's inspired by real African legends and is meant to educate and inspire, not to promote superstition. The tribe that knew the stars before science did. Deep in the heart of West Africa, where the grasslands stretch to meet the horizon, the night sky is not an empty void. It is a canvas of stories, a map of time, and a guide for life. For centuries, long before the world knew of telescopes and satellites, there lived a people who read the heavens like an open book. They were the children of the savannah, and the stars were their elders. Tonight, under a blanket of a million shimmering lights, a young boy named Cato sits with his eyes wide with wonder. Beside him, Elder Bio, the tribe's revered astronomer, sketches patterns in the soft sand with a weathered finger. The firelight dances across his wise, wrinkled face. He is the Sky Whisperer, the keeper of celestial secrets passed down through countless generations. Hey Cato, check this out. See how the cluster moves? It is not random. The sky has a rhythm, a great dance that tells us when to plant our seeds and when the rains will bless our fields. Each star has its own journey, just like us. Cato, his gaze fixed on the swirling patterns in the sand, leans in closer. He has heard whispers of the elders' knowledge his whole life, tales of how his ancestors navigated vast, unmarked lands using only the glowing signposts above. Elder Bio, how do you know all this stuff? How can you read the light so far away? Elder Bio chuckles softly. My boy, his knowledge is older than the oldest baobab tree. We were watching the heavens long before the first outsiders arrived with their looking glasses. Our eyes, our memory, and our spirit, these are our instruments. We do not just look at the stars. We listen to them, as if on cue. The gentle hum of the village begins to grow. Families emerge from their homes, their faces lit by the warm glow of torches and the central bonfire. It is the annual Night of the Sky, a sacred tradition where the community gathers to honor the heavens. Men, women, and children settle onto woven mats, their faces turned upward, ready to receive the wisdom of their ancestors. The elders take turns speaking, their voices weaving tales of constellations. They point to the celestial river that foretells the coming of the wet season, and the hunter in the sky who guides lost travelers home. Their star maps were not written on paper but etched into memory, a living library of navigation, agriculture, and cosmic order. They knew which star clusters appeared when the soil was fertile, and which alignments signaled the time for harvest. Time itself was measured not by clocks, but by the steady, predictable march of the cosmos. As the night deepens, Cato's eyes are drawn to a particularly bright and dense cluster of stars, shimmering like a handful of scattered diamonds. He had seen it many times before, but tonight, it felt different. It felt alive. Wow, Elder, that's stunning. What's it called? Elder Bio's voice is a soft whisper that is the nest of the celestial bird. Our legends say it is where new stars are born. But more importantly, Cato, it is a reminder. The stars remember us, if we remember them. They hold the stories of all who came before us, and all who will come after. Cato looks from the sparkling cluster back to Elder Bio, a new determination burning in his young heart. He understands now. This is more than just stories. It is his heritage, his people's legacy written in light across the infinite darkness. I really want to learn and remember, Elder. I promise. I will learn the secrets of the sky. Elder Bio places a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder, his eyes reflecting the star-filled sky. A silent promise passes between them. The ancient knowledge has found a new vessel. As the tribe's voices rise in a soft, melodic chant to the heavens, Cato's journey is just beginning. High above, the constellations shine down, timeless and patient, waiting for the next generation of sky whisperers to listen to their tales. We introduced a tribe whose understanding of the cosmos was passed down through generations, long before modern tools. Now, we join the young apprentice, Cato, as he uncovers the profound depth of this ancient wisdom and knowledge so precise, it baffles the modern world. The African savannah is bathed in the gentle gold of peoi dawn. The once brilliant stars begin their slow retreat, surrendering to the approaching sun. Cato, now a young man with a fire of curiosity in his eyes, sits beside Elder Bio. The elder's body is frail, but his spirit remains as vast as the sky he has spent a lifetime observing. Look closely, Cato, Bio whispers, his voice a dry rustle like leaves in the wind. He gestures toward a series of ancient carvings etched into a flat rock, weathered by countless seasons. On the stone, intricate patterns mirror the constellations above. But these weren't just random drawings. They were maps of the heavens, created centuries, perhaps millennia, before the first modern telescope was ever conceived. Centuries later, and thousands of miles away, the world of science would be stunned by a similar story. Historians and astronomers studying the Dogon people of Mali discovered they possessed astonishingly accurate knowledge of the Sirius star system. The Dogon knew of Sirius B, a companion star completely invisible to the naked eye, and even described its 50-year elliptical orbit. It was a discovery that Western science wouldn't confirm until the late 20th century. How could an ancient people know such things? Back on the savannah, the same question burns in Cato's mind. He looks from the carvings to the fading stars, then to his mentor. Elder, he asks, his voice filled with awe, how? How did our ancestors know all this, without the tools of the outsiders? How did they see what was hidden? A faint, knowing smile graces Elder Bayo's lips. He places a hand on Cato's shoulder. The stars speak to those who listen, my boy. Not with eyes, but with understanding. Our ancestors didn't just look at the sky. They felt its rhythm. They watched the same patterns, night after night, year after year, for generations. They saw how the stars guided the seasons, how they marked the time for planting and for harvest, and how they danced in a grand, predictable cycle. He continues, his voice gaining strength. This was not magic, Cato. It was the science of patience, the science of deep, unwavering observation. They noticed the subtle shifts, the slight dimming of a star, its reappearance in the same spot after many lifetimes. They recorded these cycles not in books, but in stories, in songs, and in these very stones. Each generation added a piece to the great puzzle, building a library of knowledge written in the language of the universe itself. This idea isn't just a part of our story. As modern historians now confirm, many oral traditions across Africa were not merely myths. They were sophisticated systems for preserving complex information. They contained mathematical principles, astronomical data, and ecological wisdom, all woven into epic narratives and rituals. These societies had developed their own forms of scientific inquiry, rooted in a holistic worldview where humanity and the cosmos were deeply interconnected. They understood that to know the stars was to know themselves. Cato listens, and for the first time, he truly understands. The knowledge wasn't a sudden gift from the heavens. It was earned. It was the accumulated wisdom of a people who lived in harmony with the world around them, who saw the universe not as something to be conquered, but as a great elder to be respected and learned from. As daylight fully breaks, Bayo's lesson concludes. He has passed on the final, most important piece of the puzzle, the philosophy behind the knowledge. It is a legacy of respect, patience, and the profound connection between all things. Time passes. The seasons turn. Elder Bayo eventually joins the ancestors he so revered, his wisdom now living on through Cato. We see Cato, now an elder himself, sitting under a brilliant, star-filled night sky. A group of eager children gathers around him, their faces illuminated by the campfire's glow. The same stars that shone above his ancestors now gleam above this new generation. He points to the sky, his finger tracing a familiar pattern. Look, he says, his voice calm and steady, just like Bayo's once was. That is not just a cluster of lights. It is a story. It is a map. It is a clock. It tells us who we are and where we come from. Before telescopes, before complex charts and equations, they already knew. Their wisdom was born not from technology, but from a timeless human tradition, to watch, to listen, and to remember. It was the science of observation, the mathematics of patience, and the poetry of a deep, abiding respect for the universe. And in this quiet corner of the world, under the eternal gaze of the stars, that sacred knowledge continues, passed from one generation to the next. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this story inspiring, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more explorations into the hidden wisdom of our world. Stay curious and stay safe.